Welcome to the American Golden Age, everyone. As you probably tuned in yesterday, we had an absolutely jam-packed and historic day. We started off with some technical difficulties, but it doesn't matter because everything is better now that Donald J. Trump is in office. As your 47th president, Donald Trump took the day yesterday, jam-packed with inauguration action and presidential action, as he took pen to paper and signed law after law after law to make sure America is great again. He started off by securing our border, and of course, we cannot forget his absolutely landslide presidential action, watershed presidential action, by pardoning over 1,500 January 6th political prisoners, and they're already being released this very minute from jails across the country, especially in D.C. What an absolutely historic and monumental day we had yesterday. President Trump right now, earlier today, teasing a massive action to come and that massive announcement regarding infrastructure. We're going to take you right there to the president to make this, when he makes this announcement. We won't miss a second of it. You probably tuned in yesterday and you probably saw my face for about 10 hours as we walked through moment after moment. Benny Johnson, of course, had a baby, his fourth child. Baby Whitaker is doing phenomenally, and so is Nurse Kate. So I'm here to sort of fill in to make sure you guys don't miss a second of the action, because believe me, you won't want to. As you saw yesterday, it was historic moment after historic moment. Trump is not skipping his beat as he enters office. Today is his first full day in office, so as you can imagine, he will not go quietly. He's going in here and signing law after law again. He's teasing a massive infrastructure announcement to come any minute now. So the moment he does, we will take you directly there. What you're looking at on your screen right now is a Marine. This is called the West Wing stakeout position. So this is where you'll have a bunch of press cameras sort of lined up outside of the West Wing, sort of documenting what's going in, people going in, people coming out. This is, sort of the thing that journalists do in DC. And so what you're looking at here is a Marine standing right outside of the doors of the West Wing. This is what happens when President Trump is in the Oval Office. So when the sitting president is in the Oval Office, there will be a Marine parked right outside of those doors. So that's telling you President Trump is getting to work immediately on his first full day in office. So again, President Trump is set to make a major, they called it a massive infrastructure announcement. And I'm sure there'll be more to come with that, as well as friendly banter with the press, as we know Trump is known to love to do. So as soon as that announcement begins, we will go directly there. He's expected to make that announcement any second. They said 4 o'clock. It's currently 4:04, so that means any second now on Trump time, we will go directly there. I believe we have a clip of Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, who's been on the show before, talking about what we can expect from Trump's announcement today and how Trump is getting to work expeditiously.
I can confirm that the American people won't be hearing from me today. They'll be hearing from the leader of the free world once again. President Trump will be speaking to the press later this afternoon at the White House, and we will have a big infrastructure announcement. This man is already doing more in less than 24 hours than his predecessor did in 4 years. Yesterday was a historic day for President Trump. He signed 42 executive orders, memorandums, and proclamations. He took more than 200 executive actions on top of giving 3 speeches throughout the day and then attending 3 balls late into the early hours of the morning this morning. And he's already off to work again. And so the American people have a leader who is delivering on the promises he made to them. President Trump sending shock and awe yesterday with his actions to secure the southern border, to unleash the might of our energy industry, and to bring jobs back here at home. So the American people have a strong leader in President Trump. There's no doubt about that.
There you heard it, President Trump really emphasizing his focus on making America affordable again for Americans. So right there, we can expect some major announcements to come any second now about creating American jobs for Americans and allowing the American dream to be achievable and attainable by America's own people. We have an update of some Trump news, pretty big stuff here about what we can expect. Let's play that up and let's see.
As President Trump returns to the White House for a second time, he's kicking off his second term with a flurry of executive orders. Time magazine's cover putting it bluntly, he's back. White House correspondent Peter Doocy live on the North Lawn. Other than finding the letter that you guided him to, what actions did Trump take yesterday?
John, he was using the Sharpie to try and take actions, use the power of the presidency to deliver on campaign promises without having to wait for Congress.
He signed 42 executive orders, memorandums, and proclamations. He took more than 200 executive actions. President Trump sending shock and awe yesterday with his actions to secure the southern border, to unleash the might of our energy industry, and to bring jobs back here at home.
The new president also followed through on his promise to pardon or commute sentences of 1,500 people convicted of offenses on January 6th.
Well, I will say this. They've been in jail for a long time already. I see murderers in this country get 2 years, 1 year, and maybe no time. So they've already been in jail for a long time.
We also learned that former President Biden did leave a letter for President Trump, but it just wasn't in an obvious spot.
President Trump, did President Biden leave you a letter?
He may have. Wait. Don't they leave it in the desk? I don't know. Oh.
What's in there?
Thank you, Peter. It could have been years before we found it. Wow. Thank you.
What do you say on the outside?
Maybe we should all read it together.
Let's read it.
Well, maybe I'll read it first and then make that determination.
That sounds great.
Peter, thank you very much. I may not have seen this for months.
Happy to help with the passing of the torch.
I did. I left him one in the desk just like this.
We still don't know what it says, even though we really, really want to. Maybe we can ask him again later, 2.5 hours from right now. President Trump is expected to make a big announcement about infrastructure. CBS News just posted a bulletin that it has to do with AI infrastructure. We'll check on that. John.
Oh, Peter, thank you for the letter. That was an all-timer Trump moment right there. You can't beat it. And it's such a contrast to Joe Biden when he was in office, for example. So if you're not familiar, the White House insiders under Joe Biden created this operation. It's called Operation Bubble Wrap. And essentially what it was is they wanted to cover Joe Biden in any way possible to shield him from the press or any sort of slip up, because we know he can't speak basic English or walk in a straight line. And so the Project Bubble Wrap, part of that was they would, as soon as Joe Biden is finished reading his teleprompter during his speech, or failing to read his teleprompter during the speech, they would have these staffers yell all sorts of things at reporters. So they would drown out Joe Biden's own responses to their questions. They would also start blasting music at rallies to make sure he couldn't get any questions in, or blasting the helicopter from Marine One so they couldn't ask any questions. Joe Biden couldn't hear them. It was a disaster. Now this is President Trump. That was President Trump's first 12 hours in office. And he was doing full-on press conferences for like an hour and a half and having just very candid moments with the press. And so that's a lot of what you can expect for the next 4 years, is a president who can actually speak directly to the American people and doesn't have to hide behind staffers and helicopters and destructive playlists playing at these rallies. So President Trump really showing what the American Golden Age looks like. It looks like transparency. And it looks like accessibility and honesty, really. So we had some pretty amazing moments last night from that same press conference. You can see how Trump operates. He's very pragmatic when he's in office, whereas Joe Biden kind of operated as this mindless drone operated by these high level staffers. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is very much pragmatic in his approach. And the way he governs is focused on results, focused on winning. Last night, he had a really interesting moment where Peter Doocy, I believe, asked him about the drones, right? Because everyone wants to know, what are these drones hovering over Bedminster and over all these sort of properties, and especially New Jersey. And so Trump was like, hey, man, I just got into office like 10 hours ago. This is my first time being in the Oval Office, my first 10 minutes in the Oval Office. I don't know what you're talking about. And so he's like, he directed his chief of staff directly on camera, live on TV. He said, Susie, find out what is going on with these drones and let me know so I can tell the American people. It was a really cool moment because it shows you how Trump operates. We have that clip for you. Let's play it. Trump on the drones.
But is it anything, these drones, is it anything that people need to be worried
No, I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of...
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out immediately? I mean, I can't imagine it's an enemy or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting, right?
And with the events today, and
Such a change from what we saw the last 4 years. This is a real leader in office who wants real results and is focused on winning and making America great again. I'll take that any day. And man, the next 4 years are going to be really exciting if that's what we're seeing every single day from this president. So I live in DC. I've lived in DC long enough to understand how the town works, and what happens in DC is nothing really works. It's a city that works for itself and works to portray the American people, the people they swore an oath to serve. And it's because it's filled with these bureaucrats who just want to fill and line their coffers. They don't care about actually making America great again. Doge is officially implemented. It's officially real in our government, and it's already striking these DEI departments in our government who are rotting our own government to its core. Donald Trump last night officially creating Doge inside of the Oval Office. This is such a historic moment. We have to play it for you.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as Doge.
Okay, that's a big one.
is Elon Musk going to get a West Wing office?
No, he's getting an office for about 20 people that we're hiring to make sure that these get implemented. We have a problem in this country. You sign an executive order, it doesn't get done for 6 months. As an example, when we allowed the J6 hostages to go out, it might not be approved under the old days for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months. They had a good ruling from the Supreme Court, and it's like nothing happened. That ruling was 6 months ago, you know that. And it was like they didn't have a ruling. They've been treated very unfair. The judges have been absolutely brutal. The prosecutors have been brutal. Nobody's ever treated people in this country like that.
Mr. President, are you commuting the sentences of anyone who assaulted a police officer on January 6th?
Well, we're looking at 2 police officers, actually, that Washington police officers who went after an illegal, and things happened, and they ended up putting them in jail. They got 5-year jail sentences. You know the case. And we're looking at that in order to give them we got to give them a break.
It's so cool seeing that kind of leadership inside the Oval Office, a president who actually cares and who puts real action behind his words. You can see it right there. Again, with the drones, you can see it by creating Doge, something that's sure to shake up Washington forever, which is why this presidency is so important, because it will change the course of history indefinitely. Trump also signed last night an official withdrawal from the World Health Organization. Of course, we know this organization to have corrupted a lot of the response when it comes to COVID. And Trump said, you know what, why are we paying into this organization if we're getting exactly zero, if not negative, results in return? So Trump last night saving Americans billions of dollars by withdrawing from the World Health Organization is one of his day one actions. This is really a moment inside the Oval Office. Let's take a look.
What is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. Nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million. We were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but, and when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, you
Pretty
spoke
sad to
about-
think of it. China pays 39 million and we pay 500 million, and China's a bigger country.
Mr. President, you spoke about inflation today in your remarks. What actions are you taking today that will have a direct impact for Americans on their everyday costs to bring the cost down?
The biggest thing and factor for inflation is energy. They screwed up my energy policy, and then they went back to it. You know, they heard it really badly, and then they went back to it, and they started drilling more, but by that time it was too late. Many of these things that we're signing and that Doug Burgum is going to be signing, and Chris Wright, who's phenomenal at, Energy, Department of Energy, we're going to be taking a lot, we're going to make a lot of money from energy. We have more than anybody else. We're going to make a lot of money from energy. We're going to make a lot of money from tariffs. European Union charges us, they have a VAT tax of 20%, but it's really much higher than that. And that's the equivalent, almost the equivalent of a tariff. And they're tough. They're very tough. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take almost anything. And yet we take their cars and we take their farm product. We take a lot from them. So, we have like a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. So we'll straighten that out with either tariffs or they have to buy our oil. The one thing they can do, oil and gas, the one thing they can do to catch up quickly, buy our oil and gas.
Will you travel?
And they should do that.
Will you travel to China this year?
Yeah, it could be. I've had the invite.
President Xi invited
I would
you
do,
to
yeah.
come this year?
Talking about the European Union and the tariffs, what do you mean when you say that the European Union country is part of BRICS?
That a what?
BRICS. You said BRICS.
Oh, BRICS. No, I was talking about BRICS. BRICS is 6 nations. I think it's 7 nations. And they were looking to do a number in the United States. And if they do that, they won't be happy about what's going to happen to them.
Are you still considering a universal tariff, Mr. President, on all countries?
I may, yeah, but we're not ready for that yet.
There you go. Trump definitively showing what strength looks like on the world stage, defying the globalists and officially withdrawing from the World Health Organization, something that, of course, would cause panic in the eyes of Anthony Fauci. So, again, Trump last night having an absolute banger press conference, impromptu press conference inside the Oval Office. He really went on a tear, signing executive order after executive order, showing again what the muscular implementation of the America First agenda looks like. We're waiting any second now. Trump is expected to emerge, perhaps in the Oval Office, to announce a massive infrastructure bill or an infrastructure project. It's expected to be about artificial intelligence, which is pretty amazing because just like 17 hours ago, we had a president who would fossilize if he even touched a phone. And now we have someone who's really focused on the problems of this century and really taking back the fight when it comes to artificial intelligence, taking it back from China and other nations who would dare beat us when it comes to technological advances. So President Trump is going to make a major jobs announcement, a major, announcement in the sphere of artificial intelligence. So we are really pumped about that. As you can see, there's some movement there with the Marine, perhaps some staff coming in and out. Again, it's a good sign. It means President Trump is inside the Oval Office, and he should very shortly make this announcement that we are very excited about. It's also been billed as a press conference, so last night was kind of a tease of what you can expect today. President Trump being, we've had some pretty great moments with Trump in the press. Maybe we can load some of those up. I know there's some really good Jim Acosta ones that, oh boy, are some of my favorites. But Jim Acosta against Trump, we've seen that before. Maybe we might catch some of those moments. Now, of course, CNN's new correspondent is Caitlin Collins, one of Trump's favorites, I must say. And they've had some moments as well. So maybe we'll get some good fiery Trump versus the press moments. Although last night we saw some really, really cool lighthearted banter between him and some reporters, and really showing sort of like just pragmatic leadership, not taking himself too seriously, but also showing what strong leadership looks like. So I'm very excited about this press conference. Again, the minute he walks out, we will take you there. We will not miss a second, just as we did yesterday during a historic 60th inauguration for President Trump and JD Vance. Trump last night had a moment when he talked about, like, it's very easy to get caught up in the pomp and circumstance of a day such as yesterday, and you have to like pinch yourself and realize, like, I'm now sitting in the Oval Office. I'm now the 47th president. And there's sort of a surreal nature to it. A reporter caught a really cool candid moment with Trump last night when he asked him, like, what was it like walking into the Oval again for the first time as the 47th president? And he had this to say. It was pretty cool.
President, what was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people. I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. Don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice by comparison.
There you go. President Trump saying that walking into that storied Oval Office yet again was one of the better feelings he's ever had in his life. This is a man who's had several lives, both as a celebrity and a business tycoon and president, and now he's president again. And so for him to sort of describe the surreal nature of walking into the Oval Office yet again is pretty cool to see last night. And he was very open and candid about what that was like. We should probably expect more of that over the next 4 years, just a president who doesn't cower behind staffers and who will actually speak to the press and speak directly to the American people. We did tease some very iconic moments with Trump and some members of the press. Of course, one of his favorites was Jim Acosta. We had several spicy moments with Trump and Jim Acosta in the Oval Office, or in the White House, rather. There was this is probably the most iconic moment. This is actually outside of the White House, but Trump calling Jim Acosta fake news has to be one of my favorite clips of all time. Let's take a little throwback trip down that.
Don't be rude. You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you stay categorically?
You are fake news. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't say he went too far. No. I don't say.
You have fake news. Okay, chat, let me know. Who do you think Trump is going to have a moment with? Is it going to be Caitlin Collins? Is Trump going to call Caitlin Collins fake news? I mean, I'd want to see that because, again, they've had their moments before, Trump and Caitlin Collins, where Trump is literally fact-checked Caitlin Collins live on TV, which is one of the greatest moments of all time. And Trump, we might get another iconic Trump moment. Again, we have 4 years of this. So I think Trump has a lot of energy in his first full day in office. So maybe we'll get some good moments there. Who knows? There's some other really good moments between Trump and Jim Acosta. There's one where Trump just straight up goes, no one watches CNN anymore. Like you are fake news. No one watches you, and absolutely destroys his ego for the rest of his life. And now you have Jim Acosta crying at like midnight on CNN because he got his show bumped by executives, or like, Trump hates you so much. The American people can't stand listening to you, Jim Acosta. We're going to banish you to Siberia. Now his show's at like midnight. No one watches it. So he lost. He had 10 viewers before. Now he has 2. It's been pretty rough for him. But let's play that Jim Acosta clip saying no one watches CNN. It's amazing.
Go ahead. Let's give it a shot.
Sir, what do you say to Americans who are upset with you over the way you downplayed this crisis over the last couple of months? We have it very much under control in this country. The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. It's going to disappear. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. March 4th, we have a very small number of people in this country infected. March 10th, we're prepared. We're doing a great job with it. It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. What do you say to Americans who believe that you got this wrong?
And I do want them to stay calm. And we are doing a great job. If you look at those individual statements, they're all true. Stay calm. It will go away. You know it is going away. And it will go away. And we're going to have a great victory. And it's people like you and CNN that say things like that, it's why people just don't want to listen to CNN anymore. You could ask a normal question. The statements I made are, I want to keep the country calm. I don't want panic in the country. I could cause panic much better than even you. I could do much. I would make you look like a minor league player. But you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to have our country be calm and strong and fight and win. And it will go away. And it is incredible, the job that all of these people are doing, putting them all together, the job that they're doing. I am very proud of the job they're doing, that Mike Pence is doing, that the task force has done, that Honeywell and Procter & Gamble and Mike and all of these people have done. I'm very proud. It's almost a miracle, and it is, the way it's all come together. And instead of asking a nasty, snarky question like that, you should ask a real question. And other than that, I'm going to go to somebody else. Please, go ahead, please.
Oh, man, Trump was cooking in that clip. We might have more of those moments here today, which would be very exciting and very welcome. I got to say, it's very entertaining, and there's nothing quite like a president artfully shutting down a deranged member of the press like that. He is, that Jim Acosta. Oh man, we've had some moments. There's one particular moment that I think definitively contributed to Jim Acosta's utter demise for the rest of human history. This was when I think this particular moment actually got Jim Acosta banned from the White House for a while, because he literally physically assaulted a member of Trump's staff, a female member of Trump's staff, wrestling with a microphone because he wanted his 15 seconds of fame, trying to own the president. And then it actually ended up happening the other way around. It's quite a FAFO situation, if you may. This is Acosta versus Trump, one of the most iconic moments that we ever saw in the White House. Maybe we'll get another one today. Let's check it out.
Hey, that's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's enough.
I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President.
I promised myself I wouldn't do it. But Jim Acosta, I can't help myself. These clips are some of the best we've ever seen come out of the White House. And oh man, I am excited about the next 4 years when we're going to have Donald Trump going at it with some of these very interesting characters, such as Jim Acosta. Chat, let me know if you want to see more. We have more Jim Acosta meltdowns. I'm not afraid to use them. They are absolutely iconic. Hey, I'm watching the chat right now. It looks like people want to see them. So. There's a really iconic one where the president goes off and tells Jim Acosta, if you were not fake news, maybe the people would believe you. Again, just for a quick moment here, we are waiting for President Trump to walk out and give what he's teased as a massive infrastructure announcement, which means American jobs, which means American economy, roaring back. And really taking back the war when it comes to AI. As you can see, the Marine is standing right outside of the doors. This is the West Wing. This is, again, you can see the microphones there. This is the stakeout position. So this is where reporters line up to sort of, see who's coming in, who's coming out of the White House or the West Wing. When the Marine is standing outside of those doors, it means President Trump is inside the Oval Office. So again, any minute now, we can expect President Trump to come out and make this what he's called a massive announcement, and he's also promised a press conference. So we're going to have a lot of these more iconic moments. Again, the chat is asking for these Jim Acosta meltdowns. We'll play this last one because it is so good. Trump, saying if you were real news, people would actually listen to you. Let's take a look.
States, and please remember the president's last remarks that we are a great democracy. The United States is a great democracy, and I'm airing what I'm airing because we are in fact a democracy. And if the press were straight and honest and forthright and tough, we would be a far greater nation. We would be a far greater when we don't have the CNNs of the world who are corrupt people. Thank you very much, everybody.
There you go. Again, for those joining, Benny is taking care of his wife and newborn son, Whitaker, right now. They're all doing great. They're all doing amazing. But we wanted to make sure we brought you every waking moment of this new golden age under President Donald J. Trump as the 47th president. And so Trump has promised a massive announcement. We were not going to miss it. So as soon as the president walks out, we will take you there. We won't miss a minute, as we did yesterday. We saw some pretty big moments from Trump yesterday, making some pretty major announcements on day one, including the pardon of over 1,500 January 6th political prisoners. And so that's it's a really good sign as to what we can continue to expect in his first full day in office. Now today, of course, he's promising this massive announcement. So we can expect some pretty promising things to come out of it. There's this cool thing that happens, right? As soon as Trump swears his oath of office, the presidential transition happens immediately. And so everything swaps, right? You have the White House website immediately gets swapped into President Trump's website, and the Biden one gets banished to Siberia along with Jim Acosta's show. But it was really cool because you can see the differences. The old Biden website was it's very feminine, and it's not the image you want to portray as a strong nation. President Trump comes roaring back with his new website, massive letters. It says "America is back," and he's talking about the golden age, and it's this massive hero shot of Trump. It's a really cool website, and the first thing you see when you log on to there you go. It is so cool. His whole thing has also been making America beautiful again. He actually signed an executive order last night to restore American beauty. Enough of these concrete slabs on buildings. Let's make America beautiful and care about how we build things. Trump's a builder, so he cares about these things. He cares about the aesthetic, and you can see it on the website. The website really portrays this sort of strength, and the website is quite beautiful. The letters almost remind me of this MAGA hat. I got this MAGA hat on Trump's election victory party, and so the hat stays on today as well as I had it on yesterday. You can see there. It is a banger of a website. I believe that picture right there that we're about to see is from America Fest, and you can see all the neon lights. That was a very cool moment. People went crazy when he walked out, so I'm not surprised he included that picture. But as well with this website, kind of the first thing you see when you log on, this really, really cool sort of cinematic trailer of Trump walking into the Oval Office and reasserting himself as a conquering hero inside of the Oval Office. It's a really cool video. I think we have it ready. It's Trump's website trailer, but it is a cool one. Let me know if we have that one ready, and we'll play it up because I think it's worth playing. It shows sort of the transition between sort of the weakness we had 17 hours ago versus Trump's alpha strength coming in. Let's play it up. I don't know about you, but I get chills every single time I watch that clip. It's just sort of like it all sets in. It's like, man, we are back. America is back. President Trump is back in the White House. The American economy is about to come roaring back. No more of this hyperinflation that we had under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. No more of these endless wars. No more of this suffering that's been inflicted on the American people. Ignoring very obvious natural disasters that have been happening across our country. President Trump has made it clear that his goal is to make America great again by putting Americans first. And so that trailer just kind of encapsulates that sort of power and muscular energy he's bringing to his agenda in his second term. So I'm very excited about it. And I will tell you what President Trump's one of President Trump's first official trip as president after getting sworn in will be to North Carolina. These are victims of a vicious hurricane who got then abandoned, forgotten by President Biden's administration. They were going to send them $47 or something. It is such a slap in the face to Americans who are reeling as the Biden administration is sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and funding all these foreign wars that we don't need. And so President Trump now is coming in and saying, no, you know what? We're not going to keep shipping our resources, our men in uniform overseas to fight these wars. We're going to start putting the interests of Americans first. So he's going down to North Carolina, which is very, very, very heartening. And this announcement he's about to make today, at any minute now, is focused on putting Americans first, putting jobs back in America, getting people off the sidelines of employment and into the workforce again, bring that economy roaring back. And again, he did it last night as well by signing that executive order, withdrawing from the World Health Organization that basically exists to suck money and influence out of America and Americans to fund globalist interests. So Trump making it very clear that he's putting Americans first and rejecting the globalist agenda. So we can expect to hear more of that today at any minute now. Again, we are just waiting for President Trump, who is set to walk out in just moments. He is currently inside of the Oval Office, as you can see right there. We have an update for you coming very shortly about what we can expect with this announcement directly from the lawn of the White House. So that is coming. But President Trump has made it very clear what he wants his second term to look like. It is an administration that is going to serve Americans. He is done with this sort of weak leadership that cowers to foreign influences and rejects the will of the American people. He made that very clear last night with his slew of executive orders. So I cannot be more excited about the next 4 years we have, as I'm sure the chat's been going crazy all day today and yesterday. Oh, look, he's taking out Joe Biden right there in the little trash can. They're taking it all out. So this administration is just built different, taking out the trash, most definitely. We have that update right from the lawn, talking about what we can expect from Peter Ducey himself. Let's take it away.
4 o'clock. Today's big announcement here, though, it's about Project Stargate. That's what they're calling it. The CEOs of OpenAI and Oracle and SoftBank are going to be here talking about this $100 billion joint data center venture that they have. The action today follows about 200 executive actions yesterday, and the most immediate policy changes that we have seen so far are immigration policy changes. In fact, right now, ICE agents are out there rounding up and arresting illegal immigrants.
There you go. Securing the border, putting Americans first, putting jobs back in the hands of Americans. This is pretty exciting. Moments ago, we saw the presidential trash can, as ALX likes to call it, getting wheeled out from the West Wing. I wonder what that was. Chat, let me know. It might have been Joe Biden. They might have just stuffed him in there. It might have been Joe Biden's leftover diapers, spoiled Depends. Who knows? Maybe some bottles of baby oil. Who knows what they were wheeling out from the West Wing? But man, I will tell you, this administration is focused on taking out the trash, and this announcement we're about to get is going to be major. Trump has said it's massive. potentially the biggest of them all. Who knows? But it'll certainly be quite an announcement that we can expect any minute now. Um, there's something really interesting that you might have missed. We played you some clips last night of Trump inside of the Oval Office. Trump has officially, redecorated the Oval Office, made it look more like a Trump Oval Office, of course. And there was a very special Easter egg that you might have missed, but it has to do with Trump's love of sugary brown drinks. The man loves his Diet Coke, and he installed this massive red button that instills fear in anyone who walks into the Oval Office because they assume it's like the nuclear button. They assume like if you press it, something's gonna, go off, but it really just is a Diet Coke button. You press it, and a server comes in with a napkin dangling on their right arm, and they serve him an ice cold, crisp Diet Coke. It is one of the most legendary things to ever happen at the Oval Office, and it's one of Trump's favorite little knickknacks that he gets. So let's play that. It's officially back.
I was in the Oval Office with him last night, and I noticed that the valet button, famously known as the Diet Coke button, is back on the Resolute desk. So the staff here remembers what the big boss likes. Will?
The big boss is back. The big boss is back in the world stage as well. Again, America coming roaring back from after 4 years of decline and weakness on the world stage. President Trump making it known that America is back, going as far as putting it in massive, bold caps letters on his website. It looks like a giant MAGA hat. America is back. They should make that hat. America is back. But this is quite a moment we're seeing unfold here. It's today's the official first full day of the Trump administration, the second Trump administration, and he's not skipping a beat. Again, last night he signed over 200 executive actions, each individual one focused on serving the American people, putting America first yet again. And so today, again, we can expect a massive announcement from President Trump. And again, we'll get to see him once again standing behind that presidential seal, speaking directly to the American people, and then perhaps having some very lively moments with the press, as we know he is known to have now as president yet again. And now maybe he'll send the people. Maybe Jim Acosta will not just get banished to Siberia. Maybe he'll get sent to Greenland, and he'll just be kept there. He'll just do his show from a little ice cottage, from a little igloo in Greenland. So we've got some exciting moments yet ahead. In just a couple of minutes, here we go. The Marine looks like there's some movement going on in the West Wing. That is typically a good sign that we're going to get President Trump very shortly. Here we go. We've got the Marine. Again, there's a stakeout. Here we go. It looks like we might be this is most likely White House military, and what they're doing right now is they're doing little sound checks to make sure the president's reverb and volume and crispness sounds good. He's holding up a white piece of paper. This is to balance the cameras to make sure the colors look right. The press likes to alter Trump's face often to make him look like he just walked out of Oompa Loompa factory. So they are currently calibrating the colors to make sure the president looks as accurate as he does in real life. They're syncing his microphone to make sure everything sounds crisp. This is kind of cool. You get to see what goes into a presidential press conference. I believe this is the Roosevelt Room inside of the White House. It's just steps away from the Oval Office inside the West Wing. So here you go. This is White House military just doing some sound checks. They typically do this just moments before President Trump walks out because they want to make sure that the settings don't get changed if they wait too long. So everything will be fresh for the president when he walks out. So again, we can expect President Trump to walk through those doors any minute now, and we'll actually see him take questions. I remember this room because during Joe Biden's disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, they asked him a question about the 13 dead Marines, and he would just storm out. He would do these press conferences, and I'm using air quotes right now, but the press would, he would give this dialogue, this diatribe that like wasn't really, it was just, he was reading off or trying to read off a teleprompter. And then the press would try to ask him a question, and he would have these like rabid staffers who would jump out of those flags and just scream at reporters so you couldn't hear what the president was saying. And he would get ushered off, like he would get manhandled off out of the Roosevelt Room through those doors to never be seen again. Trump, on the other hand, what we'll see today is him take questions probably at length with reporters, and really, really addressing the questions that the American people have, and of course, probably shutting down some asinine lines of questioning, as we know he's done in the past. So today will be a very, very historic day. Again, he's teed up this announcement as being massive, so you can expect some pretty major announcements to be made. And again, Trump is expected any minute now. He's inside the West Wing. He's inside of the Oval. That's just mere steps away from this room that you're looking at right now. And this will be, I guess, Trump's first official press conference as the 47th president. Last night, we saw him do a late night. It was meant to be an executive order signing inside of the Oval Office, which it was, but the man was multitasking. He was doing a full-on press conference while signing these watershed pieces of legislation into law. So we'll see today. This will be his first official press conference. And man, is it going to be nice to see President Trump yet again stand behind that presidential seal, and that podium inside of the White House. I am overjoyed, and it almost doesn't feel real, but we're going to have 4 years of this strength and leadership back. So I'm very excited. Again, this is a live shot you're looking at of the West Wing. President Trump will walk in any minute now. When he does, of course, we won't miss a second of it, and we'll go directly there. In the meantime, I think we have some moments of last night, Trump inside of a roaring and raucous Capital One Arena. This is downtown DC. DC, if you didn't know, it voted 97% for Kamala Harris this cycle. It's not exactly a conservative enclave, but for the past couple of days, it certainly has been with President Trump's inauguration. He booked out the Capital One Arena for 2 nights in a row and packed it to the brim. Last night, moments after swearing in, walking over there and signing in some pretty massive pieces of legislation as the crowd goes nuts. And then they started throwing pens in the crowd. It was such an amazing moment. We have that clip for you last night of Trump officially pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord, which again is just one of these globalist programs meant to suck America of its tax dollars, its tax base, and its power on the world stage in favor of these globalist initiatives. So let's take it away. Trump last night inside of the Capital One Arena signing some watershed legislations.
The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty. Yes, sir. We're going to save over $1 trillion by withdrawing from that treaty.
You can see J.D. Vance there right behind Trump. This is a very united ticket, who is now serving as president and vice president. It's going to be an amazing 4 years. There were a couple moments last night that I really did love. One of them was Trump just minutes after signing, or seconds after signing these executive orders, standing up and just tossing his favorite presidential Sharpies into the crowd. This was such an amazing moment. Let's take a look at that as we wait for President Trump to walk out.
Pretty
got quite an arm there. And actually, moments before that, Trump said, "You think Joe Biden could do this?" And he was signing all these legislations and actually understanding what he was signing. So that was pretty cool. Last night there were some really amazing moments as well. There's a pretty iconic moment that went viral online. Um, Baron Trump, Emperor Baron, as he shall hence be called, um, getting a standing ovation inside of Capital One Arena and chants just ringing out like crazy. That's a great one. Let's play that one.
Very tall son named Baron. Has anyone ever heard of him? Thank you. He knew the youth vote. You know, we won the youth vote by 36 points. And he was saying, Dad, you got to go out and do this one and that one. And we did a lot of them. And he respects them all. He understood them very well. And he said, Dad, you got to go out, do Joe Rogan, do all these guys. And we did. We did. And Joe Rogan was great. They were all great, right? Baron, they were all good. He understood the market. Another famous one. How about Kai?
Such an iconic moment there. We rarely get to see Baron, but right there he's going full on, just embracing it all. He knows the lore. He knows he's kind of this celebrity online. So it is great. We have another one that was maybe my favorite moment last night, aside from all the executive orders that President Trump signed. It just captures the joy of the moment, and it is really, really one of my favorites. It's Trump last night. So President, just to set the context, President Trump, got sworn in at high noon, but before then he was already doing all these other inaugural events, including a church service early in the morning at St. John's across from the White House. He did a lunch. He did like 2 rallies. He did like all these things leading up to last night. But then after signing all these executive orders and pardons inside of the Oval Office, he then went and spoke at not 1, not 2, but 3 inaugural balls in Washington, D.C., where supporters eagerly awaited him. He had some iconic dances with Melania. His whole family came out and danced. Some pretty big performances as well. But there was probably my favorite moment last night. He was at the Commander-in-Chief Ball, which is filled with, of course, military families. And he was charged with cutting the cake. And they bestowed upon him a massive saber. He was like Luke Skywalker. They just gave him this massive saber to cut the cake. And I got to say, what happened next is absolutely iconic. We have that clip for you. Let's take a look at it. So here you go. You have Trump there. By the way, this will be the new Air Force One, or at least that's Trump's ideal design for Air Force One. So that's looks like it's happening. And apparently that plane is also cake. They warned Trump not to cut the plane, but to cut the runway. So that's what he's cutting right there. The bottom part is supposed to be a runway. Cutting the cake. You got JD Vance there as well. It's all smiles. It's all a good time. You got the presidential Marine band in the background. And here they got Melania. She was having the time of her life last night, by the way. Here we go. I mean, what other sign do you need that America is back when your president and vice president are cutting a massive cake with a massive saber in hand? I don't know what could go harder than this. And my favorite part is the frosting is red, so the saber is now red, and Trump is just waving it through the air. It's one of my favorite all-time moments of President Trump. And then shortly thereafter, and we'll load this up also, President Trump started dancing with the saber in hand, and it was unreal. I was a little scared he was going to decapitate someone, but it was such a great moment. He was just dancing YMCA with the saber, doing the golf swing. It was amazing. Here you go. Here you go. President Trump doing the YMCA while dancing with a massive saber in hand. Melania, you can see she's dancing as well. All smiles. Everyone's having a great time. JD Vance said, "I've had enough of the saber," and he gave it to the Marine. But President Trump said, "I'm not done. I'm not finished. Wait till you see what I do next." And he just starts waving it in the air. I mean, America's back. I mean, this is the latest iteration of the YMCA dance. I hope he walks out at every rally with just a massive saber in hand, and he's just chopping away. Our enemies, his enemies, fear him. As he wields a massive saber in hand. You can see Melania there in the back dancing as well. The energy was really high last night. And that was the first ball he went to. He then went to two more, ended up well past midnight, addressing these balls. He spoke at every single one of them, and then also danced at every single one of them. So he definitely had quite a day yesterday. And he was awake bright and early. Lights at the White House were completely on at 6 a.m. Very much a departure from the last 4 years under Joe Biden, where he was either sleeping on the beach, trying to open a beach chair, or just not working at all inside the Oval Office or inside of the residence. The residence was totally dark at 6 a.m. Now you have President Trump partying and celebrating well into the night after signing watershed executive orders, and then waking up bright and early to get to work for the American people again. As you can see right here, you have the podium shot set up. They've done all the mic and camera checks, so President Trump is expected to walk out and make what he's called a massive announcement any minute now. So again, we're not going to miss a moment of it. We're living through history, and President Trump has promised us again a pretty major announcement, so we're not going to miss a second of it. You're looking at the Roosevelt Room, just steps away from the Oval Office, where President Trump is right now. So this room, of course, has been home to pretty major announcements in the past. There was some major press conferences. But I got to say, there's nothing quite like a President Trump press conference. So we will see very shortly exactly what that looks like. This will be President Trump's first press conference as the 47th president, and he's doing it just steps from the Oval Office. He had one last night, but this will be the first officially designated press conference. I think last night was supposed to be what they call a pool spray, where you have some press off the top of an event who sort of are there to take pictures and maybe quick 1-minute video, and then they get escorted out of the room. President Trump said, "No, I want them here." And so he kept them there for the entire duration of the executive order signing, and actually just turned into a press conference, which is pretty cool. All cameras, all eyes were on Trump, most certainly, as they will be very shortly the second he walks into the Roosevelt Room and delivers this massive announcement, as he's called it. So we are just waiting for President Trump. We had, again, pretty historic day yesterday. I'm still trying to kind of process everything that happened. I'm reading the chat right now. Let me know, what was your favorite moment last night from the debate, from the inauguration? Let me know what stood out to you. There were so many favorite moments, including that saber dance, that it's hard to say. A lot of the chat is asking about the drones. The drones we played that clip earlier. You might have missed it. But Trump last night inside of the Oval Office was asked about the drones. And he said, "Man, this is my first 15 minutes inside of the Oval Office. I haven't had a chance to look into it." But right on the spot there on live TV, he directed his chief of staff to find out exactly what was flying over American airspace, especially in New Jersey, and especially over his own home in Bedminster, New Jersey. So it's of course of particular interest to President Trump to find out exactly what was going on. He also vowed he would tell the American people what it was when he found out. So again, they asked him about this last night, approaching midnight. So I assume his staff has been working pretty diligently to find out exactly what's going on. Once they have enough information, President Trump has said he will inform the American people. So maybe he'll get asked about it now and we'll find out. But rest assured, Trump has teed up some pretty massive um, declassification efforts, including the JFK files and MLK files and the Epstein files and the drones. So as soon as President Trump has that intel categorized, he will release it to the public, and we will all find out what exactly was flying over sovereign American airspace. Um, so there you go. I saw a lot of the chat was curious about what was going on with the drones. That's the latest we have on it, at least. Um, so let me know, chat. What was your favorite moment yesterday? Of course, him getting sworn in. I mean, there were just so many moments. Let's hear what you have to say. Reading the chat right now. Again, President Trump is expected to walk out any minute now. So when he does, we will go directly there. And we will take it. We won't miss a moment. That is for sure. People are saying they love the Gulf of America. Absolutely. It is officially the Gulf of America. He signed that piece of legislation into law. So don't you dare call it the Gulf of Mexico. Pardons for J6ers. That was one of the biggest moments, of course, last night that Trump promised, and he made good on that promise. That is absolutely for sure. Let's see. Gulf of America. People are really loving the Gulf of America. Trump has vowed to make America beautiful again and also rename key monuments and major bodies of water to reinforce the fact that America is indeed back. People are saying they love the Melania dances with Trump. Yes, those were amazing. Energy independence, absolutely. Trump signed a slew of executive orders to make sure America is energy independent. So that is absolutely certain that Trump is making promises and keeping them in his first minutes in office. Closing the borders, yes. Trump signed a lot of executive orders yesterday on the border, designating the border as a national emergency, designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That designates a lot of resources that the federal government can now appropriate to address those issues and secure the border. So those are pretty major announcements that President Trump made. And of course, right now we have some major deportation operations underway actively in key cities throughout the country, including Washington, D.C., including New York, including Miami. So again, President Trump is putting America first and making America safe again in his first hours in office. Drill, baby, drill. Of course, the External Revenue Service to collect all the tariffs. The chat is loving that. Draining the swamp, absolutely. He established Doge officially, so they are already nixing these DEI departments across our country. The two genders, yes, he officially declared that. Pardoning for J6ers, absolutely. Yes, the hiring freeze on the IRS, people are loving that. Doge is already happening. We saw many special moments last night. Someone who was in the room for all of these very historic moments was AOX, who was right there watching it all happen in person. We have him here, and perhaps he'll tell us some things maybe we missed because we weren't in the room, but maybe we'll get some insights into exactly what that was like to watch the energy as President Trump was inaugurated. So AOX is in the house. Hey, Alex, what's going on?
I just flew back home this morning very early, so I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. But yeah, I was at the Liberty Ball last night, which was one of three of the balls that President Trump appeared at. And it was directly next door to the Commander-in-Chief ball, where he cut the cake with that massive saber. So he attended the ball that I was at right after. And I think we have a video that I took of him dancing with Melania. Oh, it looks like Sebastian Gorka was just
I saw someone peek through it.
Yeah, so that was my view last night of Donald Trump and Melania, and then JD Vance and Usha.
Man.
And then afterwards, Don Jr. came out with his daughter, and it was like a nice moment there with also Eric and Laura Trump dancing
That is
as well.
awesome.
And yeah, that room was packed in there. Before Donald Trump came on, we had Billy Ray Cyrus, who actually had like a technical issue.
I did see that.
Yeah, so that was the pre-Trump entertainment. And I believe Nelly performed afterwards. I actually left after Trump because I knew it was going to be a nightmare getting out of there. I actually waited 2 hours to get in, which only shows the enthusiasm in Washington, D.C. For Donald Trump. I know there's a lot of people who traveled there, but like it was still a sight to see, lines of people for blocks lined up to see Donald Trump, whether it be at a watch party for the inauguration or at a ball. There were probably like 20 plus events and balls. I went to a bunch of them. Like I said, last night I went to the Liberty Ball. And then earlier in the week, I went to the Black Conservative Federation one, where Byron Donald spoke, among others. And then we also had the AFPI ball where Speaker Mike Johnson spoke, and Brooke Rollins. And there were, a bunch of guests at that one. And of course went to the old Trump, now the Waldorf, and hopefully the future Trump, where I saw a lot of
I feel hopeful.
Yeah, a lot of regulars. And actually I will say that like somebody very close to Donald Trump, I won't reveal who I did see at the Waldorf, said the same sentiment as we did, that he's very hopeful that it will end up back in Trump's hands. So I'm hoping that's going to be a good sign. It's funny too. I actually saw Don Jr. on my way out from that event. He was arriving. I don't know if he was staying there or if he was attending the AFPI event after I left, but he was actually walking in as I was walking out. So we got to talk a little before I got my car. But yeah, the energy there, despite having an indoor inauguration, which I know, bummed out some people that traveled across the country, but I will say it was the right move after waiting outside in 10-degree weather for 2 hours last night. I know it would have been 10 times worse having to stand for 5 hours outside of the Capitol. And, there were going to be health concerns. So, I think it was in the best interest. And then also a lot of, people have raised that might not have been the only reason why there could have been safety concerns for President Trump with, drones or some sort of attack. So I'd rather have him get sworn in safe than, have people sick or, out in the cold for 5 hours or something, God forbid, happen to the president while he's getting sworn in, because there are risks. But yeah, overall, it was a good, 4 days that I was there in DC. I lost my voice. I know my voice sounds a little hoarse, but those events can get pretty loud and wild. So I was trying to like shout above like a lot of music and stuff. So yeah, it was a good time though.
It's the only way to usher in the American golden age. The energy there's got to be unreal. Was there like a moment that you're like, what was your biggest takeaway? Like, what moment made you really go, this is officially The new golden age. Like, what was that like click for you?
I will say, so I didn't get to watch the press conference live last night, but what I will say is seeing the clip of the January 6th pardon really solidified for me like that Donald Trump is going to keep his promises, because that was a big one with like a lot of people. They didn't know if he was going to pardon, just a couple, all of them. And not only so I saw the breaking news and I saw the clip, but then I had multiple January 6th prisoners or former prisoners texting me, like saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy!" Like, because it impacted them directly. So to see that, like, it really, it's a different kind of vibe, because it's something that happened on day one of the president's administration is directly impacting so many people that are close to the movement or close to me personally, that their lives are now changed forever for the better. And one of my friends, he's actually quite young. He's like, I think 23 years old, who he went in the Capitol building for 6 seconds and turned back. But then when the FBI cites like the still images of all the people that went into the Capitol, didn't matter what they did, but if they crossed a certain line, they were now, enemies of the state. They posted his, his face, and then I guess one of his neighbors ratted him out or whatever. So then, for the past 2 years, his life has been, upside down. He lost his job, and like hard for him to find work. He's on probation. So like for him, like that was one of the people that texted me, for him to like say, this is such a weight off my shoulders. Like, it's really a different type of presidency that, I have not, I've only seen a couple presidencies in my life, but like, there's nothing like it. But then also, I would say from the actual inauguration ceremony, I really liked seeing, one of my favorite like meme moments was seeing Barron Trump standing behind the presidential seal, and everyone saying it's the foreshadowing moment. So I thought
They're
that
scared
was
of the
pretty
wrong
funny.
Trump.
Yes, exactly.
They're fearing
They
the
fear
wrong Trump.
Yes, exactly. And then, yeah, yesterday at the parade rally, him with the standing ovation, that was
So good.
interesting to see.
He was like
clearly likes
trolling the
the attention.
crowd.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so good.
like
It was
that.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
the tone of this second term it's been pretty great. It's like he made a lot of promises on the campaign trail. They of course tried to not just jail him, but also kill him. Like he's coming in with a lot of like muscular force behind his agenda this time. And the tone
Yep.
yesterday was really cool because I mean, again, he signed over 200 executive actions, individual executive actions, but they all had like a common thread. It was all about returning the power of DC to the people they were once sworn to serve. And
Yep.
so from the J6 pardons to withdrawing from these sort of globalist entities that strip power away from Americans, and it was a really cool sort of tone that he took yesterday as his first day in office, and today's his first full day in office. I'm excited to see what he has to announce now. It looks like it's going to be a pretty major jobs announcement when it comes to AI, which is really putting America into a new century, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I'm curious if the new AI council and AI czar David Sachs is going to be, involved in this press conference at all, since it has to do with AI as well. So that
That's
would be
right.
really interesting to see, if someone like Elon Musk or David Sachs also attends this press conference. And I
Right.
think it would be, sort of interesting, because it would show one of those newer type of um, organizations within his administration and leadership positions that are now influencing policy and playing a huge role in policy. I personally know David Sachs. He's a great guy. He's been on Benny's show a couple times as well. Benny's met him a couple times as well. So it would be like really cool to see the impact that they're already having, less than 48 hours after he's taken office. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of surprise guests that appear with him. I know, like we said, it looked like Sebastian Gorka pop his head out of one of those doors a couple minutes ago.
Yep.
So I'm curious
got a
to see
shout
if
out.
if it's going to be anyone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, either way, it'll be such an upgrade from whatever we had in the past with Kamala Harris. What was her quote? It was like, AI stands for intelligence that is artificial, and
Yeah,
we put it inside a Venn diagram, and then we get a yellow school bus. That was
yeah,
like, that was her understanding of artificial intelligence. I mean, it's an upgrade. It's an
yeah. That
upgrade.
kind of confused me as well. And it's funny, actually, when Elon launched XAI, I got the opportunity to ask him a couple questions about the future of his company an X space. My first one was, it's pretty funny. This was like a long time ago, right when he launched it. I asked like, what motivated him to create an AI company, and like how long are we away from seeing like a Chat GPT type product? Now we know there's Grok, which is XAI's Chat GPT slash Mid Journey like product.
Yeah.
So we were actually less than a year away from that at that point. Then the other question I asked is, would you accept an invite from Kamala Harris to the White House? And what do you think of her as and the AI czar? And then he kind of didn't want to comment on the Kamala thing because he didn't want to like dunk too hard on her. But like I
Little
it's
did they
just
know. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. This was like, yeah, this was a long time ago. So it's just like funny to see the difference in administration. It's like Joe Biden, who obviously has no clue what AI is. And ironically, Donald Trump, who's actually older than Joe Biden, and or like, the oldest president to be sworn in, um, he's like very tech savvy, or you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
he's appointing people like David Sachs or Elon Musk and all of these people on like the AI specialty. And like, what does Kamala Harris even have to do with AI? You know what I mean? Like, she's getting an appointment for the AI czar and then also the border czar. She did nothing to do with like either of those things, and she was like awful at both of those things.
Well, the
The
thing is,
Trump, yeah.
Kamala has exactly half of the requirements. Is that she is artificial, but she has absolutely no intelligence. And
Oh
yet they
yeah.
put her in charge of what, honestly, one of the most consequential roles now in this new sort of era.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then yeah, like I was saying, like Donald Trump, like back in 2015, and even like 2013 and 2014, before he was even a political candidate, he's very tech savvy with like his Twitter at the time. Like that was always his thing.
Oh, here we go.
Who
Looks like we
have
might
is that
have.
Walt Nada up?
Here we
And we
go.
have Trump. We
President
have Trump
Trump
coming up.
live right now, making a massive announcement.
We got audio.
Well, thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here today. We have first full day as president. We're back, and we had a great first term, but we're going to have an even better second term, and I think we're going to do things that people would be shocked at. We're uh, starting off with tremendous investment coming into our country at levels that nobody's really ever seen before, and they're very happy with the fact that I won the race and that they feel confident in their investments. And it's big money and high quality people. So my first day back from having a nice life, it's my honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man, an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America. As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say the by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. So I appreciate that, fellas. But it'll ensure the future of technology. What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country, and we're making it available. I'm going to help a lot through emergency declarations, because we have an emergency. We have to get this stuff built. So they have to produce a lot of electricity, and we'll make it possible for them to get that production done very easily at their own plants if they want, where they'll build at the plant, the AI plant, they'll build energy generation, and that will be incredible. But it's technology and artificial intelligence, all made in the USA. Beginning immediately, Stargate will be building the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of advancements in AI, and this will include the construction of colossal data centers, very, very massive structures. I was in the real estate business. These buildings, these are big, beautiful buildings. They're going to employ a lot of people. And physical campuses in locations currently being scouted nationwide. They're making their choices of locations. I think they have their choice. I'd like to ask Larry, Sam, and Masa to say a few words and just talk about a little bit about what they're doing, and if you have any questions, and then we'll go into a couple of other subjects also. But this is, to me, a very big thing. $500 billion Stargate project. I think it's going to be something that's very special. It'll lead to something that could be the biggest of all. So, Larry, maybe we'll start with you, and we'll go down the line. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. We certainly couldn't do this without you. It would simply be impossible. AI holds incredible promise for all of us, for every American. We've actually been working with OpenAI for a while, and with Masa for a while. The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas. Each building's 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, but that will expand to 20, and other locations beyond the Abilene location, which is our first location. The kind of applications that we're building, to give you an idea, maybe the most charismatic and the one that I think touches us all is electronic health records. Not just maintaining electronic health records, but by looking at electronic health records, understanding the condition of doctors, better understanding the condition of their patients, and being able to provide healthcare plans that are much better than they otherwise would be. A doctor in Indian River Reservation would be able to see how a doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering would treat the patient, or a doctor at Stanford would treat the patient. We actually provide all of that information, all of that guidance to the doctors who are treating cancer patients or patients with any other kind of disease, made possible by AI. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm going to pass it to Masa, but this is a very exciting program for Oracle to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you. That really helpful. That's good. That's great. I feel tall now. Thank you. Well, Mr. President, last month I came to celebrate your winning and promised that we will invest $100 billion. And you told me, oh, Masa, go for 200. Yeah. Now I came back with 500.
Because this is the, as you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age of America. This is one great example, I think, right? We wouldn't have decided to do this.
I think so.
This is the beginning of golden age. We wouldn't have decided unless you won. And yesterday we agreed, we signed to make this happen.
That's great.
Because of this day.
Very nice.
So we would make this happen. We would immediately start deploying $100 billion with a goal of making $500 billion within next 4 years, within your term. Right? Because of your success. So we are very, very excited to do this. And our partner is, of course, SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and additionally investing partner with MGX. On top of that, we have the technology partner, NVIDIA, and of course, Microsoft has been very, very supportive to Sam and continue to support all our success. This is not just for business. As Larry said, this will help people's life. This will help solving many, many issues, difficult things that otherwise we could not have solved with the power of AI. I think AGI is coming very, very soon. And then after that, that's not the goal. After that, artificial super intelligence will come to solve the issues that mankind would never ever have thought that we could solve. Well, this is the beginning of our golden age. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fantastic.
Sam.
I don't have too much to add, but I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era. And as Masa said, for AGI to get built here, to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, to create a new industry centered here, we wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President. And I'm thrilled that we get to. I think it'll be an exciting project. I think we'll be able to do all of the wonderful things that these guys talked about. But the fact that we get to do this in the United States is, I think, wonderful. So thank you very much.
Could you just say one word? I hear so many positive things about what it's going to do for medical research and for solving things, cancer and all the different problems. How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
These guys can maybe share more about some of the work they're doing there. I think they'll jointly be some of the leaders about driving progress here. But I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Be great. Very good. Thank you.
Can I speak and answer that question, Mr. President? So we're currently working on. Should I step on this? Okay. All right. No. I'm not that tall. I'm not that tall.
You look even better.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most exciting things we're working on, again, using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again using AI, in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Great, thanks. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just one second. We'll finish up. But these are highly respected guys. I was shocked with Larry because I don't even think Larry does this stuff. You did a very good job for a guy that doesn't do it much, right? But he's so respected, and the group, and it's really an honor. But for Larry to be here and do this is very unusual because he doesn't do this stuff. He doesn't need it. He does, and you don't need it, do you? Huh? You don't need it. But I think it's an honor to the country. It's a great honor that this group, these are the top people, that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it here, and we're going to make it as easy as it can be. A $500 million Stargate project comes in addition to a separate pledge between $100 and $200 billion from, as we know, from Massa that we talked about before. Also $20 billion from DMAC, which was great. And we have many others that are coming. Some I just announce it. It's easier, but with some, I know them, and they're so highly respected, I'd rather do it this way. Many would like to do it this way, but we're letting the world know what's happening. This is money that normally would have gone to China or other countries, but in particular China. In total, before the end of my first full business day in Washington in the White House, we've already secured nearly $3 trillion of new investments in the United States, and probably that's going to be 6 or 7 by the end of the week. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in for many things other than even AI. AI seems to be very hot. It seems to be the thing that a lot of smart people are looking at very strongly. And our country will be prospering like never before. I think that's true, and it's going to be the golden age of America. As I say, yesterday we had the most ambitious, action-oriented day of any administration in history. No, there's never been a first day like yesterday, as you know. I signed a sweeping slate of executive orders to stop the invasion of our borders. I launched a government-wide effort to defeat inflation and bring down the cost of daily life and bring down the cost of energy, magnificently bring it down. And when energy comes down, Larry, I'd say generally speaking, when energy comes down, everything else comes down. The prices of food and the prices of everything else come down. Energy is that's the big baby. And we declared a national energy emergency to drill, baby, drill, our term that we use. We're going to drill, baby, drill like never before. We ended destructive DEI mandates across the federal government and returned our country to a merit-based system and a common sense system. As you know, the Supreme Court gave us a decision on merit, where things in this country can be based on merit now instead of a lot of different rules, regulations, and things that really put our country at a big disadvantage. We permanently stopped government censorship and restored free speech. That was signed yesterday. We renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Sounds so beautiful, the Gulf of America, and returned the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley. They took off the name, and he was actually a great president. He was a very, very successful businessman. He ran for governor of Ohio. He won and did a great job as governor, ran for president, and he won. He was assassinated, ultimately, in his second term, unfortunately. But he was the tariff king, and I don't think he was as bad as I am. I think I believe in him even more than him, but he believed in him very strongly. And he raised massive amounts of money. Our country was at its richest from 1870 to 1913. We had the most. That was when we were the richest, relatively speaking. We were the richest during that period of time. That was tariffs from other countries. And our administration's moving with unprecedented urgency and speed to confront every single crisis facing us, and we'll get the job done. And again, I want to thank Sam and Masa and Larry for being here. It's an honor to have them. And we'll take a few questions if you want.
Can I ask you about some of the executive orders? You would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer.
Sure.
Right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned, DJ Rodriguez, he drove a stun gun into the neck of a DC police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. You take a look at what's gone on in Philadelphia, take a look at what's gone on in LA, where people murder people and they don't get charged. These people have already served years in prison, and they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing. I also say this, you go to Portland, where they wrapped police officers, shot police officers, nothing happened to anybody. You go to Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city and people died. Portland, a lot of people died. Wait a minute. And you go also, take a look at Minneapolis, because I was there and I watched it. And if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city wouldn't even exist today. People were killed and nobody went to jail. So these people have already served a long period of time, and I made a decision to give a pardon. Joe Biden gave a pardon yesterday to a lot of criminals. These are criminals that he gave a pardon to. And you should be asking that question. Why did he give a pardon to all of these people that committed crimes? Why did he give a pardon to the J6 Unselect Committee when they burned and destroyed all documents which showed that they did what was wrong, not me? Wait a minute. Why did they give a pardon to all of his relatives, his brother who made millions of dollars, to all these different people? He gave pardons. That's the question you should be answering. All right, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Can I just follow up really fast? Can I just follow up on that really fast?
No. That's enough. Go ahead.
You said you will.
Tell us about your meeting with Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune. Did you reach any conclusion on this one big?
Pretty much. I think we have a good situation now. It's been in some ways made simpler by Los Angeles because they're going to need a lot of money. And generally speaking, I think you'll find that a lot of Democrats are going to be asking for help. So I think maybe that makes it more one-sided. I think we're going to do very well. Look, we're going to take care of Los Angeles. I'm going there. I'm going to North Carolina, which has been abandoned by the Democrats. And I'm going to North Carolina, very importantly, first. I'll be there on Friday. And then I'm going from there to Los Angeles. And then I'm going to Nevada. And I'm really going to Nevada to thank them for the vote, because we won Nevada overwhelmingly. And that's usually a Democrat vote. And I just want to go there to thank the people of Nevada for the big vote. So we'll be making that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, the leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were freed following their pardons yesterday. At the time back in 2021, you urged them to stand back and stand by. Is there now a place for them in the political conversation?
Well, we have to see. They've been given a pardon. I thought their sentences were ridiculous and excessive. One of the guys took down a flag that was an anti-American flag, and he was given years in jail. I don't know the exact number, but he was given many years in jail. I thought it was very excessive. And at least the cases that we looked at, these were people that actually love our country, so we thought a pardon would be appropriate, yeah.
Mr. President, is it also true in your conversations with Republicans today that you asked them to consider recess appointments for cabinet officials?
I think, yeah, if it's needed. I don't think it's going to be needed. Marco, as you know, got passed overwhelmingly with 99-0, which is pretty amazing. Marco's going to do a great job, Secretary of State, but he just got, I guess he was the first one and just got approved. That's some vote, 99-0, and the nothing was a vote that he would have gotten if we wanted to do it. But you know whose vote that was? Who's doing a great job right now as vice president.
Did you also talk about some sort of a trade or a deal involving wildfire relief in extension for
Well, what I really want to have done, I was talking about this with the guys back in the Oval Office. Los Angeles has massive amounts of water available to it. All they have to do is turn the valve, and that's the valve coming back from and down from the Pacific Northwest, where millions of gallons of water a week and a day, even in many cases, pours into California, goes all through California down to Los Angeles, and they turned it off. It's off now. The valve goes, it turns toward the Pacific Ocean, and all that water goes pouring into the Pacific Ocean. If they did what I told them to do, they wouldn't do it because politically they didn't think it was good. I think it's great politically. I think they're dead politically. What they've done, they've destroyed the city. What they've done to that city is unbelievable. The sprinklers, their sprinklers in there like these right here that you see, none of them had any water in them. They didn't have any water. The fire hydrants, 40% of them had no water. The brush was just dry. Everything was dry. The sprinklers on the lawn weren't allowed to even be used. So, everything was dry, and it was an inferno. They created an inferno. So we're demanding that they turn the valve back toward Los Angeles right now. It's not even believable that they haven't done it. Just so you know, they have a valve, and it turns like, think of a sink, but multiply it times many thousands of times the size of it. It's massive. And you turn it back toward Los Angeles. Why aren't they doing it? They either have a death wish, they're stupid, or there's something else going on that we don't understand. But we want the water that they're throwing away to be used for California. And that includes the farmers of California. When you drive up north, you see all of the land. I couldn't believe it. I was with Devin Nunes when he was a congressman and some other congressmen from the area, and we're driving up and we're on the highway, and I keep looking at these farms, and the land is bone dry, and then you'd see an acre, about an acre or 2 acres, with the most beautiful green plants growing in it, the most beautiful it's rich stuff. And you look at the soil, and it's so rich. That soil is almost the equivalent to like Iowa soil. It's phenomenal, but it's got no water. But the reason it has no water, I said, do you have a drought? No. I said, what do you mean you don't have a drought? Look at the thing. It's dry as a bone. The reason you have like an acre is because they say you can farm 1 acre, but no more, because they didn't want to waste water. But they throw the water into the Pacific Ocean. These people are crazy. So we're going to be issuing an executive order demanding that they immediately let that water come down through California. Farmers, even people living in Beverly Hills. Now, those people have been a lot of them are wiped out. Believe it or not, they were having restrictions, Larry, you know about this. They wanted to restrict you to 38 gallons of water a day. That sounds like a lot, but it's not. When you're a rich person and you like to take a shower, 38 gallons doesn't last very long. And they have all this water, and it's really good water. Up high, Pacific Northwest. Some comes in from Canada. A nice country, by the way, comes in from Canada, and it comes all the way through California, and they're restricting it. You even have the half pipes, the half pipes, the cut pipes, big ones, bigger than this room, and they're going all the way down, and they're bone dry, and they could be loaded up with water. But isn't it incredible that they don't do it? And it's to protect the Delta smelt. It's a fish that's doing poorly anyway. But I said, how are you protecting the Delta smelt by not giving it water? It's a fish. It needs water. Nobody can answer that question.
On TikTok, Mr. President,
Well, let me do this first.
are you open to Elon buying TikTok?
Say it?
Are you open to Elon buying TikTok?
I would be if he wanted to buy it, yeah.
And on your inauguration,
I'd like Larry to buy it, too. I have the right to make a deal. So the deal I'm thinking about, Larry, let's negotiate in front of the media. The deal, I think, is this, and I've met with owners of TikTok, the big owners. It's worthless if it doesn't get a permit. It's not like, oh, you can take the U.S. The whole thing is worthless. With a permit, it's worth like $1 trillion. So what I'm thinking about saying to somebody is buy it and give half to the United States of America, half, and we'll give you the permit. And they'll have a great partner, the United States. And they'll have something that's actually more valuable because they have the ultimate partner, and the United States will make it very worthwhile for them in terms of the permits and everything else. But so think of it, you have an asset that has no value or has $1 trillion value. It all depends on whether or not the United States gives the permit. So what I'm saying is let the United States give the permit, and the United States should get half. Sounds reasonable. What do you think?
Sounds like a good deal to me, Mr. President.
Yeah, he can afford it too.
Mr. President, you're a president who has long said that you back the blue, but aren't you sending the message that assaulting officers is okay with these pardons?
No, the opposite. In fact, I'm going to be letting 2 officers from Washington Police, D.C. I believe they're from D.C., but I just approved it. They were arrested, put in jail for 5 years because they went after an illegal, and I guess something happened where something went wrong. And they arrested the 2 officers and put them in jail for going after a criminal, a rough criminal, by the way. And I'm actually releasing. No, I am the friend of police, more than any president that's ever been in this office.
More than 400 of the people that you pardoned, though, assaulted officers. So I want to ask you about the Vice President, J.D. Vance. He said, this is a week ago, he said, if you committed violence on January 6th, obviously you should not be pardoned. Why is your Vice President wrong?
Well, only for one reason. They've served years in jail. They should not have served, excuse me, and they've served years in jail, and murderers don't even go to jail in this country. And we had 1,500. We have 16 under review. As you know, we commuted about 16 of them because it looks like they could have done things that were not acceptable for a full pardon. But these people have served years of jail, and their lives have been ruined. And in many cases, listen to me for a second. Stop interrupting. They've served years in jail, and if you look at the American public is tired of it. Take a look at the election. Just look at the numbers on the election. We won this election in a landslide because the American public is tired of people like you that are just one-sided, horrible people in terms of crime. You don't talk about all the people that have been killed and what happens to those murderers. Murderers get no time. You take a look at some of these DAs. They go after political opponents, but they don't go after people that shoot people in the street. They're caught. They know where they're living. They know everything. They don't even go up to pick them up anymore. They just let them live there. They know all about it. They have their pictures. They have the tape of the shooting, and they don't even go up and you're talking about this. No, we pardoned people that were treated unbelievably poorly. In the history of our country, there's never been anything take place like this. They're still looking for them, but they're not looking for the murderers, the people that are killing everybody. We are, though, and we're getting them out of the country. We just started that. We're getting them out of the country, and they're going to be gotten out of the country fast. They came in illegally from jails and from prisons. They killed many people. Some of them killed many people. About 50% of them killed more than one person. They were released into our country. That's what we're focused on, not the kind of nonsense you're talking about.
You called for a ceasefire in Ukraine. If Vladimir Putin doesn't come to the table to negotiate with you, will you put additional sanctions on Russia?
Sounds likely.
And
Yeah.
do you think that the war should be frozen currently?
The war should have never started. If you had a competent president, which you didn't, the war wouldn't have happened. The war in Ukraine would have never happened if I were president. But that couldn't happen because the election was rigged. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, there's been some debate within your orbit over whether or not to keep or eliminate H-1B visas. What's your position on that? Do you want to keep H-1Bs or do you want to get...
Well, I like both sides of the argument, but I also like very competent people coming into our country, even if that involves them training and helping other people that may not have the qualifications they do. But I don't want to stop. And I'm not just talking about engineers. I'm talking about people at all levels. We want competent people coming into our country. And HB1, I know the program very well. I use the program. Maitre d's, wine, experts, even waiters, high quality waiters. You got to get the best people. Now, then you go into people like Larry, and he needs engineers, and Massa needs, and this gentleman needs engineers like nobody's ever needed engineers, right? So we have to have the quality people coming in. Now, By doing that, we're expanding businesses, and that takes care of everybody. So I'm sort of on both sides of the argument, but what I really do feel is that we have to let really competent people, great people, come into our country, and we do that through the H-1 program.
To impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico in an effort to force negotiations sooner on USMCA?
No, it's really not on USMCA. It has nothing to do with that. They've allowed, both of them, Canada very much so, they've allowed millions and millions of people to come into our country that shouldn't be here. They could have stopped them, and they didn't. And they've killed 300,000 people last year, my opinion, have been destroyed by drugs, by fentanyl. The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive. The fentanyl coming through Mexico is massive. And people are getting killed, and families are being destroyed. I mean, the son gets killed, and the family is a basket case for the rest of their lives. I mean, I've seen mothers that thought they'd heal. They never heal. They say it gets worse with time. It gets worse with time. They lose their boy. They lose their baby. They lose their young daughter to fentanyl poisoning. And I had that talk with President Xi the other day, too, of China. I said, we don't want that crap in our country. We got to stop it. I would have stopped it. I had a deal with him where he was going to give the maximum penalty, which in China is the death penalty for drug dealing. And he was all set. He was going to give the maximum penalty to fentanyl dealers. If they send to the United States, they were going to get the death penalty. And of course, Biden didn't pick that up. I had that deal all done. It was all wrapped up. We were going to have it done. And then the election went, let's put it nicely, didn't go the proper way. I'm trying to be nice about it. It was rigged. And we had an incompetent president elected, and he never followed up on that deal. But he should have followed up, because if they got the death penalty, they wouldn't be sending fentanyl to Mexico, Canada, and other places.
Mr. President, how much will the
We're thinking about that too. We're talking about a tariff of 10% on China based on the fact that they're sending fentanyl to Mexico and Canada.
When did you write that letter to,
How
sir?
soon on those tariffs?
Probably February 1st is the date we're looking at. For Mexico and China, we're talking about approximately 25%.
Gaza ceasefire, and are you planning to travel to the Middle East soon?
We're thinking about going to the Middle East, not yet. We have a thing called the hostages are coming back going on right now, and they are coming back. Some of them have been very damaged. You look at the young lady with her hand practically blown off. You know how that happened, right? Did you know how that happened? When you find out, you're not going to be too happy because it was terrible. But the hostages are starting to come back. If I weren't here, they wouldn't be back ever. They would have never come back. They would have all died. If this were done a year earlier, if Biden would have done this deal a year and a half, 2 years ago, or frankly, it should have never happened. October 7th should have never happened. Nobody should be dead. But through weakness, they allowed it to happen, and then it was a disaster from them. But you go back just 6 months ago, many of these young people were living. Young people don't die like that. They're just dying. And young people aren't dying at 22 and 23 years old. They don't die. But now they're dying, and you wonder why they're dying. They're being killed, and they have been killed. But they say 6 months ago, you would have had 11 more living hostages. Think of that. 6 months ago. But Biden couldn't get it done, and it was only the imposition that I put on as a deadline that got it done. But it's a very sad situation. It should have never happened. I'll tell you, 2 things should have never happened. 3 things. Inflation should have never happened. It would have never happened except for what they did to energy and their crazy spending. And Ukraine would have never happened. Never. By the way, Russia never would have gone into Ukraine. I had a very strong understanding with Putin that would have never, ever happened. He disrespected Biden. Very simple. He disrespects people. He's smart. He understands. He disrespected Biden. And also, the Middle East would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. It would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. But it did happen. So this is the cards I've been given. And we're getting the hostages back. That would have never happened under Biden. They would have never come back. They were just dying not that slowly. They were dying or being killed. But that was what was happening.
Are you going to keep sending weapons to Ukraine, or are you going to turn off the tap soon?
Well, we're looking at that. We're talking to Zelensky. We're going to be talking with President Putin very soon. And we'll see how it all happens. We're going to look at it very soon. One thing I do feel, the European Union should be paying a lot more than they're paying, because under Biden, I mean, we're in there for $200 billion more. Now, it affects them more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between, right? Little thing called an ocean. The European Union should equalize. We're in there for $200 billion more than the European Union. I mean, what are we, stupid? I guess the answer is yes, because they must think so. But the European Union takes advantage of us tremendously on trade, and they now take advantage of, and always have. If I didn't get involved years ago, my first term, one of the first things I noticed was that they're not paying enough. They're not paying. And a lot of those countries weren't even paying, the NATO countries. They weren't paying. Only 7 out of 28 were paying. We were one of them. And Poland was one. And they had a few of them that were paying, and some were paying very proudly. Usually the closer to the borderline of Russia they were, the faster they paid, okay? The ones that were further away tended not to pay so fast. And one thing on that, I think they should lift their number not to 2%, but to 5%. NATO should be at 5%, not at 2%. 2% is ridiculous, yeah.
Did you ask President Xi in your conversation about Ukraine, did you ask him to get involved
Yeah.
in helping settle that? Can you tell us
I
about
did,
that?
yeah. I said, you ought to get it settled, because he's not done very much on that. He's got a lot of power, like we have a lot of power. I said, you ought to get it settled. We did discuss it, yeah.
Mr. President, you launched your crypto coin the other day. Do you intend to continue selling products that benefit yourself personally while you're president?
Well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
You made a lot of money selling it.
How much?
Several $billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
Sir, you talked about the letter from President Biden. Can you give us some sense, broadly speaking?
Yeah, he wrote me a nice letter. I mean, I did open it last night. And I didn't know. Peter said, did you get the letter? I said, wait a minute, let's see the letter. It's sort of a tradition. You put it in the drawer, especially of the beautiful Resolute desk, right? And I opened it, and there it was. It said to number 47. And it was a very nice letter. I mean, I could show it because I think it was a nice letter. Maybe I will. I think.
What do you say in terms of
Just basically, it was a little bit of an inspirational type letter, you know. Enjoy it, do a good job. Important, very important, how important the job is. But I think it was a nice letter. I think I should let people see it because it was a positive for him in writing it. I appreciated the letter.
Mr. President, were security concerns at all a factor when deciding to move your inauguration indoors?
No, not at all. No, not at all. It was just cold. Look, if we would have, you know, I just went out to the helicopter, right, we said goodbye. That's a tradition. As long as before it used to be a stagecoach, and then helicopters came along. But that's been a tradition. You go out and you do that. And we stood there for 10 minutes, and I'll tell you what, people would not have been able to get through that day. That was cold. It was sort of interesting. Don't let the sun fool you. Tell me something. Sunny days can get very cold, can't they? Because that was so freezing yesterday. You couldn't have gotten through it. It would have been. And the answer is no, it wasn't security. With that being said, I thought the Capitol, the Rotunda, was beautiful. 72 degrees, unbelievable sound. You know, it's like being in an opera house. I could see people wanting to do it there rather than outside.
Why did you remove John Bolton's security clearance, sir?
Because I think there was enough time. We take a job. You take a job. You want to do a job. We're not going to have security on people for the rest of their lives. Why should we? I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well because every time people saw me come into a meeting with John Bolton standing behind me, they thought that he'd attack them because he was a warmonger. He's the one that got us involved, along with Cheney and a couple of others, convinced Bush, which was a terrible decision, to blow up the Middle East. You know, we blew up the Middle East and we left. We got nothing out of it except a lot of death. We killed a lot of people, and John Bolton was, one of those guys, a stupid guy. But no, you can't have that for life. You shouldn't expect it for life.
Is that meeting that you mentioned with President Zelensky, will that take place here, and when and where will you meet?
I don't know. I mean, look, President Zelensky would like to have peace. He's told me that very strongly. He'd like to have peace, but it takes two to tango. We'll see what happens.
When will you meet with President Putin?
Anytime they want, I'll meet. I'd like to see that end. Millions of people are being killed, and they're being killed. It's a vicious situation, and they're now largely soldiers. A lot of people have been killed in the cities. They look like demolition sites. Buildings, massive buildings bombed and coming down. The thing with Ukraine is that many more people died than you're reporting. You're not reporting the real numbers, and I'm not blaming you for that. I'm blaming maybe our government for not wanting to release those numbers. Many more people died than what you know about. When those big buildings come down and they say 2 people were injured, no. Many people, thousands of people are being killed. But the real killing now is on the war front. It's a very flat land. And the only thing that stops a bullet is somebody's body. And you have young soldiers. So Russia's lost about 800,000 soldiers now. Ukraine's lost about 600 or 700,000. I think the numbers are low that they're giving out. But they've lost massive numbers of young soldiers. And that war should stop. It's very flat, it's beautiful farmland, and it's flat and really beautiful in a different kind of a way, but they don't have any protection. The only thing that stops a bullet is a body, and those bodies are stopping a lot of bullets, and they're being decimated, both sides.
Your conversation with President Xi, what did you tell him in terms of when to expect tariffs, and what can he do to avoid them?
About which one? About tariffs? We didn't talk too much about tariffs, other than he knows where I stand. Look, I put large tariffs on China. I've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. Until I was president, China never paid not 10 cents to the United States. With me, they paid hundreds of $600 billion or so, or more than that even, of tariffs. And if I didn't do that, you wouldn't have a steel mill open in the United States right now. You wouldn't have one steel mill open in the United States. So what I did is I saved the steel industry. I saved other industries too with other tariffs. Other countries are big abusers also. It's not just China. China's an abuser, but the European Union is very, very bad to us. They treat us very, very badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our cars at all. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take very much. We have a $350 billion deficit with the European Union. They treat us very, very badly. So they're going to be in for tariffs. It's the only way you're going to get back. It's the only way you're going to get fairness. You can't get fairness unless you do that. But the European Union's treated us very badly. But essentially, everybody treats us badly. Everybody treats us badly. Yes, go ahead. Because we allow them to. Because we've had stupid people doing this, and we can't have. I'd like to have these 3 people negotiate for us, just for 1 week, and we'd be a rich country again. But we'll be rich.
Mr. President, on AI data centers, will you rescind President Biden's executive order that opens up federal land?
On which centers?
On data centers. Will you rescind President Biden's executive order that opens up federal lands for data centers and energy production?
No, I wouldn't do that. That sounds to me like it's something that I would like. I'd like to see federal lands opened up for data centers. I think they're going to be very important. Again, we have a lot of competition for that. So it's an honor to have these 3 great people, great CEOs and great geniuses, all 3. It's an honor that they want to come to our country, but we're going to make it as easy as we can for them because other countries want them to. I'm going to have to go now. Thank you all very much. Thank you. No, but I think I might put it there. I think I'll get it right now. By the way, again, we won the young vote. I think I won it through TikTok. So I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.